Okay guys, it's Roll64 here, and I'm just going to say that I originally filmed this with a webcam. However, the video didn't quite come out. However, I was using RecordPad for my audio, so yeah. But I hope you guys enjoy the review. Later.
Hey everybody, it's Roll64 here, and welcome to another improv review. This time it's for Star Trek Into Darkness.
You think you can't make mistakes? But the choices you make could get yourself and everyone under your command killed. But I believe in you, Jim.
Darkness is coming.
This could just be the beginning.
Beginning of what?
All-out war. I request permission to go after him.
I cannot allow you to do this.
Jim, you're not actually going after this guy, are you?
Let's go get this son of a bitch.
You are a poem, Kirk.
Sir, there's a ship heading right for us.
You can't even guarantee the safety of your own crew. Now, shall we begin?
I'm sorry.
We're outnumbered, outgunned.
I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I only know what I can do.
The ship's dead, sir. She's gone.
No, she's not.
No ship should go down without her captain.
I believe in you, Jim.
So this is basically the second installment of the J.J. Abrams Star Trek movies, and I'm a big fan of Star Trek. I haven't really seen much of J.J. Abrams stuff, so yeah. So before I start this video, I would just like to say that I'm using the webcam on my laptop to do this, and I'm recording with Pinnacle. That's why it's kind of 4:3. That's the term I'm looking for, 4:3. And I'm using RecordPad, which is over here for me on my window, but whatever. I'm using RecordPad and my microphone. So that I can record my audio. I'm going to take a drink. And about the background, first off, right here, it's kind of bright. It's a cloudy day, and I have my blinds up so that no light will shine through and you can't really see me. So, but that's the best I can do there. And I wanted to put my robe there so that nothing would get shown that I didn't want to have shown. So anyway, Star Trek Into Darkness. Star Trek Into Darkness. Where do I begin? Let's start with a short review. It was good. Really good. I recommend it. Go see it. I saw it in 2D, and I hear that 3D was really bad, so you might want to try to see it in 2D. So yeah. So now starts the spoiler-ish review. where I will go through the entire movie and give away spoilers. So this is your spoiler warning. So if you have not seen the movie and you plan to see it and you don't want to see spoilers, bye. See you later. For the rest of you sticking around, first off I'm going to talk about what happened to me before the movie started. So I get there, and I get my Coke, and I go in, and it's about 40 minutes till the movie actually starts because I wanted to get a good seat. So I go in, and I sit down. There's nothing playing. Like, no music, no nothing, which I thought was a little odd, but then I remembered, well, we have 40 minutes till the movie actually starts, so it makes sense. There were actually a lot of people there for how early it was. So I sat down and I waited. Nothing came on. At all. The entire 40 minutes, nothing came on. No previews, no music, no nothing. Around 2:40, when the movie was supposed to start, or when it was said to start, because at my movie theater, apparently they play the previews at the time that they tell you when the movie's going to start. Like those big previews when the lights start to dim, but they play previews, you know. Oh, my neck. So, yeah. So a manager walked in and said, sorry about this, the projector hasn't been working, but we're fixing it. So we're fixing it now. We had to get the managers in to help fix it, so yeah. And then a couple minutes later, the preview started, and I was happy. I had gone through about half of my Coke, but I was happy. So then, I'll probably talk about the previews later in the review. So let's see, what happened next? Sorry, it's 12:15 now. I have a lot of time. All right. So, here's what happened next. The movie begins. Time to talk about the movie itself. Again, spoilers. Where do I start? Okay, the beginning. It actually took me a second to remember the beginning because of how big the movie was. So the movie begins with Kirk, played by Chris Pine, and McCoy, played by Carl Urban, running away in this, what I can only describe as Candyland-like forest, running from these kind of paper-mache, almost clay people. Well, they were kind of like prehistoric Indians. And, by the way, I'll probably look away from the camera a lot while I try to remember. So, yeah. So, people next door are mowing. So, they're running because Kirk took, like, some holy artifact or something. And so they start running and running and running. And then... No, I didn't realize my microphone was still on screen. Oh well. So they do that, and they jump off a cliff. This is in the preview, so this really isn't spoilers. It's not really much spoilers, but... So they jump off the cliff and dive into the ocean where the Enterprise is. For some reason, the Enterprise is below the ocean. Okay. I felt that it was kind of weird. But they get in through one of the airlocks. And then Scotty complains that his ship is underwater. And then we realize that Spock is in a volcano. I hate this 4x3 thing, because it doesn't really give me enough movement. But anyway, so Spock is in a volcano that is about to erupt and pretty much destroy the entire planet, except he has a way to freeze it over. And So he does that, but there's no way to get him back to the Enterprise before that thing explodes or he gets killed by the lava or anything. So either way, he's going to die. Unless the Enterprise comes out of the ocean and reveals itself to the papier-mâché clay people. I don't know what they're called. So, and Spock advises against bringing the Enterprise out of the ocean because if they were to show the Enterprise to the inhabitants, that would violate the Prime Directive. Which, the Prime Directive is you can't interfere with a species as it's developing. Especially when it's like pre-warp and stuff. You can't interfere. You have to let them kind of develop on their own. I need a drink. My voice. For some reason my voice is kind of scratchy. So, they do that. So, but Kirk actually does bring the Enterprise out of the ocean so that they can go save Spock. And then they get Spock, the thing explodes and freezes over the volcano. Everyone is saved. Yay! Okay. So then the Enterprise goes off. And then trying to think of what was okay, next this guy in Starfleet, his daughter dies. I don't know who this guy is. I feel like I'm supposed to know who he is, but his daughter dies, which is sad. And it's a little, I don't know what I'm trying to do with my hand, but it's a little kid. And so he goes out just to kind of think outside, and then we hear this voice that says, "I can save her," in a really deep British voice. And the guy says, "Who are you?" And it cuts to the guy, and it's Benedict Cumberbatch. And so, basically, Benedict Cumberbatch gives the guy a tube of blood that if the guy puts it in like a container or something for his daughter to where the blood would go into her, she would be brought back to life. However, the price for this, for some reason my wrist itches. However, the price for this is he has to bomb a Starfleet archive in London. So what he does is, the guy, Benedict Cumberbatch, gives him a ring, and so he goes into Section 31, I believe, in London, drops the ring into water, which I guess ignites it. It was kind of weird, and it just blows up. Boom. So, why is it so itchy? It's never been this itchy with my wrist sweatband thing on. It's the Triforce. It's awesome. So then we have Kirk gets a call, and he and Spock have to go see Admiral Pike from the first movie. Who they got great casting for Admiral Pike. His name escapes me, but it was seriously great casting. So, okay, so they both get a call because they violated the Prime Directive. And so, because Kirk violated the Prime Directive, he's being demoted back to cadet. He's being demoted from captain back to cadet, which, if you saw the first movie, his move up to captain was kind of weird. Like, he was a cadet, then he was instantly promoted to first officer, and then he got the captain mad, and the captain to resign so that he would become the captain. Kind of weird, but you kind of need to see the 2009 movie. I know I could have covered the 2009 movie better in a review, but because I knew that I was going to do this review, I just wanted to quickly skim over the 2009 movie. Excuse me. Anyway, odd. Oh, I hope this works. Okay, I'm looking down at my video recording, and it says it's been going for 3 minutes. However, my record pad has been going for 13 minutes. And according to this, there are so many dropped frames. And I know that this webcam is a little bit behind sometimes, but I'm not sure. I hope this works out. If not, I'm gonna have to just do the audio for this, which is gonna suck. Anyway, so it's been 15 minutes, so I guess I'm gonna have to continue whether or not this works or not. Anyway, so Kirk gets demoted, and the Enterprise is given back to Admiral Pike. But then a meeting is called in San Francisco at Starfleet headquarters to talk about, the bombing in London. So they go and do this, and it's pretty much all the admirals and captains and commanders and people that are in San Francisco. They go to this meeting, not thinking that, well, they go because they know who did this. A Starfleet commander named John Harrison, who is played by Benedict Cumberbatch. So it was John Harrison that gave that Starfleet guy the ring to drop, and so we know now that his name is John Harrison. What happens next? So then John Harrison actually attacks the meeting, which makes sense because he knows that a meeting will be called in San Francisco. So, and then Pike dies, and then Kirk stops Harrison, but Harrison beams away with Scotty's transwarp thingamajig that he got from London in the archives, or in Section 31. So yeah. So because Pike died, naturally, because Kirk was his first officer, Kirk is promoted back to captain. So he got his captainship back. And then he asks Admiral Marcus if he can go and take out John Harrison and just kill him. No trial or anything, just kill him. And Admiral Marcus agrees and gives Kirk 72 torpedoes. Let me say that again. 72, like 72 torpedoes, anyway. 72 torpedoes, and he says that John Harrison went to Kronos, which is the Klingon home world. And, which is pretty interesting because let's say that this box that I'm in, hopefully this is coming out, let's say that this is the Alpha Quadrant. Alright, where my right hand is, if you can see it shaking, that's where Earth is. Like, where my index finger is, that's where Earth is. And then where my left index finger, which is waving now, where my right index finger is, which is left for you, that's where Kronos is. And this is a quarter of the galaxy, so Harrison went from here to here, which is just completely on different sides of the quadrant, so it's pretty interesting. Anyway, so the Enterprise goes off to find Harrison with their 72 torpedoes. I need a drink. Again, I really hope this video comes out. It might be a little weird, a little slow compared to my audio, but anyway. So here's what happens next. So they go off to Kronos, and Spock and the crew advise Kirk not to launch the torpedoes at Kronos, because first off, it could initiate war with the Klingons. Second, no, it could just, well, second, it would be unfair to kill a man without trial. So Kirk decides not to launch the torpedoes. Hang on, I'm kind of moving my laptop. Pulling my foot really, which is alright, hang on. Sorry. Okay. So Kirk decides not to launch the torpedoes. And instead Kirk, Spock, Uhura, and 2 red shirts go down to Kronos to capture Harrison. Well, that's when a bunch of Klingons come in. Bunch of Klingons just come up, and that's when John Harrison comes out with giant, massive guns and just starts shooting all the Klingons. And so Kirk and company decide, you know what, let's shoot these Klingons too. So they're just shooting and boom, 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 boom. And when all the Klingons are dead and stuff, Harrison then points his gun at Kirk and says, by the way, Sulu was left in command of the Enterprise, and he sent a message to Harrison saying that they have torpedoes aimed right at him that they will use. It was a really good moment for Sulu, which kind of set up that he likes being in the captain's chair, which might set up that he will be the captain of the Excelsior, like in the other movies. But anyway, so Harrison goes over to Kirk and says, how many torpedoes do you have pointed at me? And Spock says, 72. And Harrison surrenders. Just like that, surrendered. So, back on the Enterprise, everyone's back on. Harrison is in a holding cell. And they actually send Dr. McCoy and Carol Wallace, who is a new character that came on board. Forgot to mention her. She comes on board and stuff, and so they go down on a planet so that they can look inside the torpedoes, so that if the torpedo explodes, it won't take the Enterprise with it. Just McCoy and Carol Wallace. So, let's see. Alright, so what happens next is they discover that there's a man in the torpedo. And then when they look, there's a person in every one of the torpedoes. And so they go ask Harrison about it, because Harrison kind of alludes to, they're my torpedoes. And so when they find people in there, they go ask, and he's like, that's my crew of an old ship that we used to be on. And he starts saying, I'm not from your time, and my name isn't John Harrison. John Harrison was the name I was given. I'm sorry if you can hear that. They're mowing their lawn over there, which is okay, but kind of inconvenient. They've been doing it all morning, actually. I'm sorry. This is the best part. Okay, so he says, me and my crew and I were found adrift in space by your Admiral Marcus, and I was enlisted to create weapons and ships for Admiral Marcus. Otherwise, my crew would be destroyed, or my crew would be killed. And I tried to smuggle them in torpedoes, but that didn't work. John Harrison was the name that was given to me when I was discovered a year ago. My real name is Khan. Yeah, and everyone in the theater is like, I knew that already. Someone spoiled it for me. Yeah, it's Khan, but it wasn't really a well-kept secret like spoilers for Iron Man 3, like the Mandarin was. Because they kept the Mandarin secret really well. Someone at Paramount slipped that it was Khan. So yeah. And now we get into a little issue I have. If you're a Star Trek fan, you know who Khan is. Alright, so think about Khan for a moment. Khan, played by Ricardo Montalban, may he rest in peace, and Khan, played by Benedict Cumberbatch. Look at the two of them. I might even put their pictures up on screen. Just really look at them. Ricardo Montalban, Khan himself was originally an Indian man, but they got a Hispanic man to play him. So now for the reboot, for the new Khan, they got the whitest British man they could find, which is just really weird, but anyway. So yeah, Khan's back, which is freaking awesome. And I'm not saying that, first off, okay, well, you know what, we'll get to that at the end of the review. Here, okay. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my hair, but it's kind of weird. Okay, so, first off, down here on my recording, it says that it's only recorded 6 minutes. On my record pad, it says that it's recorded 27 minutes. So, I don't know what I'm going to do there. I don't know. Anyway, So, this is when a new ship kind of comes out of nowhere. This giant black ship that's like twice the size of the Enterprise just warps out of nowhere. And then you get, they get hailed, and it's Admiral Marcus. And he wants Khan, because it was Admiral Marcus that wanted to put him up to it, and he wanted Kirk to fire the torpedoes so that Khan's crew would be killed, and then war with the Klingons would start. So it's hard to remember like what happened next. Okay, so what happened next? The Enterprise gets shot a bit. Man, I'm a little lightheaded. I think I've been talking too much. So the Enterprise gets shot. It's revealed that Carol Wallace is actually Admiral Marcus's daughter. Did I really say that? Daughter, Carol Marcus. Carol Marcus, who you might remember from Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. But anyway, and you know, she's a really young Carol Marcus, you know, and this is the first time Carol and Kirk meet up. But anyway, moving on. So the Enterprise decides to warp away, and Kirk's like, they can't catch up to us at warp. And then in sickbay, you see Khan, who's just kind of sitting there, and he says in that really deep British voice, which is really terrifying, he says, "You think you are safe at warp. You are not." And then we cut to the an outside shot of the Enterprise as it's at warp, and behind it comes the Vengeance, just kind of creeps up on it, and it's so freaking scary. Just to see that giant, massive black ship, it's just so scary. And it actually starts firing on the Enterprise while they're both at warp, and knocks it out of warp. Luckily, they were right over Earth, which is where they were going in the first place. Which, by the way, Cronus and Earth apparently are that close. If you can warp from one to the other in 10 minutes. So yeah. And then, and you know what? I've skipped an entire subplot with Scotty. Dang it. So before the Enterprise went off to Kronos, Scotty said that he couldn't accept the torpedoes because he couldn't look into them to make sure, just to see if it would damage the warp core, because the warp core was kind of on the fritz. And then Scotty ended up resigning because of it. Then he went off. Kirk wanted him to go check something out over by Jupiter, and it happened to be the Vengeance, and Scotty got aboard. And now that they're at Earth, Scotty's disabled the weapons and stuff. So now the Enterprise and the Vengeance are just kind of sitting ducks. Where's my drink? Oh, there it is. Okay. So then, Kirk and Khan decide to kind of fly over to the Enterprise. It's kind of weird. But, so they kind of fly, they don't fly over to the Enterprise, they fly over to the Vengeance, and they meet up with Scotty, and it's really weird because it's Kirk and Khan working together, but, which is, you know, especially weird if you've seen, you know, Wrath of Khan, where they're mortal enemies, pretty much. And while they do that, Spock is left in command of the Enterprise, and he decides to call New Vulcan to talk to old Spock, who's still Leonard Nimoy. And when Leonard Nimoy comes up, he says, "Mr. Spock?" And younger Spock says, "Mr. Spock," which is funny. And Spock asks, "Have you ever, in all your travels, have you ever encountered a man named Khan?" And even though Leonard Nimoy can't express emotions because he's still Spock, when younger Spock says Khan, "Have you ever encountered Khan?" you can kind of see the look on Leonard Nimoy's face, like, ah, crap. Not again. Freaking died last time I met him. So he says, "I can't really disclose any information, but you should know that Khan will try to kill you. Be careful. He is not to be taken lightly." How did you defeat him?" "It was with great sacrifice. Yeah, I freaking died. Of course I was brought back to life, but I did die." I'm really lightheaded. I've been going for about 35 minutes. Just non-stop talking, which I'm not used to this. I mean, yeah, I do Let's Plays and stuff, but at least then I can, stop, regain my breath while I let the game play out, but okay, anyway, okay, with Star Trek, Star Trek has taught me to keep my okay, I'm losing my speech. I gotta hurry up. Taught me to keep my shirt tucked in. Because if you watch Star Trek, every time a captain gets up or anything, they always bring their shirt down like that. It's funny. 3 rules of Star Trek. 3 rules of being the captain. Keep your shirt tucked in. Go down with the ship. No man left behind. Okay. So Kirk and Khan take control of the Vengeance with Scotty. However, Kirk tells Scotty to stun Khan. And then, however, that it really doesn't go well because Khan gets back up, knocks down Scotty, knocks down Kirk, actually kicks Carol Marcus, who was beamed aboard to the Vengeance so that Admiral Marcus wouldn't have to kill his own daughter when attacking the Enterprise. So Khan actually, I think, breaks her leg, which is pretty intense. And then he goes over to Admiral Marcus, who, by the way, is played by RoboCop. Goes over to Admiral Marcus and takes his head in his hands and is like, "You should have let me sleep." Curse! Freaking crushes his skull. And you can even hear the guts splattering on the control console. Ew, ew. Dude, that's insane. Jesus Christ. Oh my. Not used to talking like this. It's been so long since my last Improv review, too. Okay, what happened next? Okay, so next, Khan, sits down in the captain's chair, and he and Spock kind of have a conversation, and Spock beams the torpedoes over to Khan so that Khan can have his crew back. And then Khan decides to fire to destroy the Enterprise. And then he beams Scotty, Kirk, and Carol back over to the Enterprise because, and he says, "No ship should go down without her captain." I might even put the clip in because of how awesome. What's the other side of your head? Because of how awesome it sounds. So he starts firing on the Enterprise. However, the torpedoes that Spock beamed over didn't have Khan's crew. He took Khan's crew out of the torpedoes and then set the torpedoes to detonate and then beamed them over, which just exploded and practically wiped out the Vengeance. But then what happens is the Enterprise starts falling into the Earth's atmosphere because pretty much all power is gone. And so Kirk and Scotty, who I think are in engineering right now, go down and Scotty says, "All the warp core isn't aligned," or something like that. "Without it, we can't get our orbits sustained, or our altitude or something sustained. The ship is gone, sir. She's dead." And so Kirk is like, "No, it's not." And he goes into a highly radiated room, which, is kind of familiar. So he does that, and so he goes in and starts aligning the warp core, which is like, the warp core is like this, like if these two things need to be aligned, it's just that this is crooked. So Kirk just starts kicking the crap out of this thing until it eventually goes in so that they're both kind of aligned. And it knocks Kirk back. And then the altitude, or the height, is sustained, and the Enterprise won't crash. Of course, now Kirk is poisoned from the radiation. Then, the Vengeance actually starts plummeting to Earth, and cut to the bridge of the Vengeance, and Khan says, "Set course for Starfleet headquarters." So he intends to take out Starfleet headquarters with the Vengeance, and he's successful. He completely crashes the Vengeance into Starfleet, and so yeah. And he survives, actually. But then, with the altitude sustained on the Enterprise, I think Scotty sends a communication to the bridge saying, "Mr. Scott, you better get down here." Did I say Scott? "Mr. Spock, you better get down here, fast." So Spock starts running and running and running, and he makes it there. And then he's about to go in and to get Kirk out. But Scotty's like, "No, there's too much radiation. You'll flood the whole compartment. He's dead already." Which is really, really familiar. Because this is basically the same scene from Wrath of Khan, where Spock dies, except this time it's Kirk that's dying. So, and so Spock is getting really, emotional because pretty much his best friend is dying. And they're pretty much rehashing lines from Wrath of Khan, which a lot of people don't like, but I thought it was kind of an homage to the original, to Wrath of Khan, and then Kirk dies, and Uhura's down there, and she and Scotty are both like, and stuff, and so Kirk dies, and then Spock just kind of lets his emotions, just lets them loose, and he screams, Khan. Almost identical to how William Shatner did it. It's just so insane. I don't know if the clip is on YouTube of Spock doing that. If it is, I'm gonna find it and I'm gonna put it in right now. Then I'm gonna put in the William Shatner scream right now. And it's just so big. And Spock beams down to San Francisco and starts chasing after Khan. And then they get into a fist fight, which is pretty awesome because it's a superhuman with advanced strength, genetically engineered strength, versus a Vulcan who are pretty strong. A really ticked off Vulcan. Like a enraged Vulcan, which kind of strengthens him a bit. And then back in sickbay, earlier, McCoy injected a dead Tribble with Khan's blood, because Khan's blood can regenerate his cells and stuff. So then back in sickbay, while Spock is going off and trying to kill Khan, the Tribble comes back to life. And so McCoy realizes they could probably use Khan's blood to help to revive Kirk from the dead. So Uhura beams down to make sure that Khan is brought in alive. And so starts shooting the crap out of Khan to stun him, and Khan just is like walking through like 20 shots, barely being phased, which is odd because he was shot earlier by Scotty and he went down easily. So I'm all of a sudden tired. So they do that, and they take Khan alive, and it's just a cut to Kirk in the hospital, and he's alive. And he says, "Spock, you saved my life." And McCoy leans over and says, "Uhura and I helped too." Which, you gotta love Carl Urban as McCoy. Like, he pretty much is a young DeForest Kelley. Like, seriously, he pretty much captures the essence of Dr. McCoy, which is awesome. So then cut to a year later, Starfleet headquarters has been rebuilt. The Enterprise has been fixed, pretty much. And everyone's happy and stuff. Kirk gives the speech of Space the Final Frontier, and they start going off on their 5-year mission that they had in the original series, which is pretty interesting. And Khan was actually put back into stasis with his fellow crew, meaning he could come back, which is pretty interesting. And that's pretty much the end of the movie. So all in all, it was really, really good. Like, this is one of the best. Like, probably, it's in the top 5 at least. Out of the 12, it's in the top 5. what a lot of people will ask, is it better than Wrath of Khan? No. It's certainly not better than Wrath of Khan. I guess I would recommend go seeing this. See it in 2D, by the way. It was really good. However, if you go in expecting a remake of Wrath of Khan, you will be completely disappointed. Completely disappointed. It is not a remake of Wrath of Khan. However, if you go in thinking that it's a remake of the original series episode Space Seed that introduced Khan, if you go in expecting sort of like that, you will be happy, I believe. Because it's kind of a retelling of Space Seed. Like, this is basically just J.J. Abrams telling the story of Space Seed, pretty much. And it's a really good telling. So yeah, I've been going for about 50 minutes. Of course, my video recording says that I've only been going 12. So I'll have to see how this worked out. Yeah. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much all I can say. It was a really good movie. Well, here's one thing I can say. Like I said earlier, when you compare Ricardo Montalban to Benedict Cumberbatch, they are not the same Khan, obviously. One's a Hispanic Khan, one's a British Khan. You know, they're completely different people. However, while he doesn't capture Ricardo Montalban, he is a great Khan. Like, he is truly Khan. He captures the character of Khan. He's loyal to his crew, and he just wants to save his family. So he is Khan, but he's not Ricardo Montalban Khan. It's just a different Khan. Because it's just weird, because when you see the other characters, like Chris Pine, you can see, yeah, he is William Shatner 50 years ago. Yeah, I see that. Or Zachary Quinto, yeah, he is Spock. Or Carl Urban or Simon Pegg, yes, they are literally a younger McCoy and a younger Scotty. They're easy to tell, like, okay, these are pretty much the characters from the original series. With Khan, no, he's not Ricardo Montalban. He's Benedict Cumberbatch. But he's still Khan. So all in all, he's still Khan. He's just not the Khan you will. He's still Khan. He's just not Khan. That's how I can put it. So if I was going to give this a rating, I would give it 4 stars out of 5. It was great. Go check it out. See it in 2D. Expect Space Seed instead of Wrath of Khan, and just have fun with Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, that's about all I can say. I will see you guys later, and this is Roland64, signing off.